We'll see what happens. Advice on ladder climbing. There's basically three main things I want to talk about with ladder climbing. Number one is keep in mind that ladder is a grind. For multiple reasons, actually. So number one, for most players, in order to go up in ELO, you need to become better as a player. Most people are already roughly at their current rating and what they should be as a player. And so you can't like magically do one different thing and like gain 4 divisions out of nowhere. Like that's unrealistic to expect. So you are grinding your skill up as well as grinding the victories that you earn. Even if you are placed lower than your actual skill, keep in mind that 30, 20, 15, 45, some percentage of games aren't winnable, right? There's going to be some games out there where it's like, damn, dude, I'm a top laner. My mid laner, my bottom laner, my jungler, they all died a whole bunch early game, like it was a bad invade or whatever, and they got dumpstered. Like some games you can't win. Like there are some, and when that happens, just realize like, okay, I have to win another one next time, right? A few aren't winnable, many are carryable. Think about this, right? So here's my corollary to that. Right, let's say you're playing mid lane, and the game's really rough. Ask yourself, would Faker have won this game? Would Faker have won the solo queue game? Sometimes the answer is not even Faker could have won this game. But generally speaking, the answer is, yeah, if Faker were playing right now, he probably would have won this game. Which means that no matter what game you're in, you could have done something better and you could have learned something. There was some mistake you made, some advantage you didn't capitalize on. There was something you could have done differently to win. Right? If you're top lane, like, man, could Shy have won that game? You know? So keep that in mind, right? It's like, Sneaky got to rank 1 on Challenger because he's really freaking good. Right? The reason I'm not a rank 1 Challenger is because I'm not as good as that guy. We all had to grind through the ladder, through Platinum, through Diamond. But he's winning games that I'm not winning because he's better than me at the game. And there's like all these things that I could have done differently to have done a better job in the game. Yeah, what would Faker do? Basically, is the answer here. So that's the first sort of point and a half. You have to get better. Many games are carryable if you are better and you're placed low. But keep in mind that again. The other thing to think about, outside of games being carryable, is in the long run. In the long run, if you play enough games, all you have to do to rise up in the ladder is do better than your opponent. Like, imagine 500 games are played, and it's a 4v4. You and, let's say you're playing support and your opponent's a support, right? Let's say you and the enemy team support and disappeared from the map and just didn't play. Over 500 games, the teams would go 250-250. Oh, roughly, right? I mean, there's some variance, but basically it's 250-250. Now imagine you don't carry, but you are twice as good a support player as your opponent, right? You win, right? You land all your hooks, he doesn't hit his, you ward better than he does and prevent the ganks. Like, you might not carry, but if you are the better support player, right? You call cooldowns, whatever the fuck it takes to be better support than your opponent. If you do more in the game than your opponent does, your individual opponent across the lane from you, your team will win more than 250 of those 500 games. Now, you might not win the next game, but in the long run, you will win more games than your opponents do, and you will rise. In the long run. Again, that's, you know, touching on point 1 where it's a grind. You're not going to win every single game you play. And that's why I'm always kind of annoyed with all the comments of like, how to carry yourself out of X, how to carry yourself out of Y, what champion should I play to carry myself? And it's like, well, dude, if you've played 100 and something games, like here, I'll show you my rank stats, right? I've played 135 games. And I'm roughly where I'm supposed to be. I think I'm still a little bit low. I think I'll eventually get up to D1. I'm at 71 points right now. I've still gained more LP than I lose, so if I keep playing back and forth, I'll rise up. I'll get D1. Last season I was D135. That's probably where I expect to be by the end of it all. That's where I expect to be. So all these people who are posting guides like how to carry yourself, what champions you should play, what things you should do, all these tips and tricks, and it's like a lot of these things are useful. Like, hey, you should try to, you know, not rage at your team. Hey, you should always buy a ward when you get back. Like, those are all things that will make you a better player, and I agree, you should do those things. Like, I've been recently more than ever buying a lot of wards, especially in mid lane, and it's so fucking easy to play when like their entire jungle is warded. Like, oh my god, you can't die. It like can't happen because you see everything. Now you still have to have the map awareness to see people go through the wards, but like if you want to go hardcore in solo queue, you buy some freaking wards and like damn. So it's like, do all these things that you think you're going to win. Like, if you're, you know, a bronze or silver or whatever dude, like, go jump in his featured spectate game and, like, go just, like, watch a guy and, like, look at the things he does in lane. And try to emulate those, right? Look at the guides that are posted. Like, there's a lot of ways that you just improve as a player, and that will do it for you. Right? Every imaginable skill in League of Legends is the thing that you can improve upon that would raise you in rating. Regis Maximus asks, I'm a Diamond 2 mid lane player at EU West. I feel like I'm kind of starting to cap out in terms of climbing up. What do you think I should focus on right now to be able to reach the next level? One thing that I know I don't do enough is help the other lanes. I think mid lane is almost more empowered than the jungle to make moves. Because a jungler, for the first 50 minutes of the game, doesn't have many combat stats. And the weird thing is the movements are actually fairly predictable, which sounds weird, but it's kind of true. People, generally speaking, kind of know where a jungler is at high tier, right? I'm saying if you're D2. Mid laners, like, the really popular ones right now are guys that wave clear really well. Then you get the fuck out of your lane and go gank bottom. Because as a mid laner, right, you can shove up. Like, let's say I'm gonna go into a single player game and do some of these on the map. Like, I'm gonna do that to. Let's be a LeBlanc.